Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Project Learn, a Rescale and Spark AR initiative aiming at upskilling tech enthusiasts on emerging AR technology with the help of workshops and hackathons, and building a highly engaged Spark AR community. Through these workshops, you would be taught how to build your Spark AR effects on Spark AR Studio and with features that enhance the experience of Facebook and Instagram users. I'm Anamika, and before we start the workshop, I would like to run through a small presentation to share the purpose, flow, application, and benefits of being a part of this program. So, as I mentioned, Project Learn aims at helping you kickstart your career in the domain of augmented reality by training you in the technology. Slide. The program structure is divided into three broad stages. In the first phase, we'll walk you through Sparkyard Studio and teach you how to create your first Sparkyard effect from scratch, which involves importing assets, canvas, face tracking, patch editor, and generating test link. In the second phase, we will move a step further, teaching you about the advanced filters, and will share with you Spark AI policies before you can finally submit your effect. Submission of your effect will get you a meta certification, access to resources that will help you prepare for the hackathon. In the final phase, we will host hackathons in your college and pan India level. You would be rewarded and recognized for your efforts and contribution. Next slide. Before we move further, let me quickly introduce Sparkyard Studio to you all. So, Sparkyard Studio is a tool used by the global community of creators and brands to create and share AR effects using Facebook family of apps. An augmented reality, as I'm pretty sure you all know, is an interactive experience which digitally enhances what can be seen, heard, and touched in the real world. At the moment, we have 600 million people using AR and Meta apps. Next slide. So let's quickly have a look at what is happening in the world. So there will be four key capabilities where AR is being used right now. To give you a brief insight on how AR is being used worldwide, we all have come across these face filters on Instagram where we can add a mask on our face. This is done by face tracking capability. IKEA, the popular Swedish chain of home furnishing stores, uses AR to help their customers choose the right furniture for their homes through the world tracking capability. Similarly, QR codes are now a normal to scan, but now we are also able to scan pamphlets and business cards using the target tracking. Similarly, body and hand tracking, the latest capability introduced, offers utility for fashion and e-commerce brands, allowing users to try an outfit digitally before they actually click on purchase. Next slide. So these are a few effects which we would like to share, and I'm pretty sure you have seen these on the Instagram. So like this first one that you see, it's about changing the hair color when somebody's screaming or getting a phone call from a celebrity. Um, Also, AR is playing a very impressive role in escalating a gamifying experience by mapping effects with facial expressions, gestures, and head movement. Next slide. So AR has played a very crucial role during the pandemic in bringing the world to your drawing room by emphasizing on the moment, making the content much more interactive, enjoyable, and memorable. Next slide. Now, having said this, what happens to the effect that I have created? So, your effect can be published on your Instagram user page, in the stories section, in the reels, and the most amazing part is that your effect is available for the audience worldwide to use and experience. Next slide. Okay, now I have created my AR effects, and I have been creating my AR effects. So how does it help me professionally? So there are various ways in which you can use AR effects to your advantage. You can monetize the platform by building interactive AR effects for brands and creators. You can become an AR UX researcher, AR developer, and educator. You can leverage AR in your career by identifying and solving problems. You can also take augmented reality career further into by learning VR and XR. So with so many advantages, both immediate and long term, I'm pretty sure you're going to make the most of the workshops. So we had also shared with you in the email the download link for Sparkyard Studio. I hope you have downloaded it. In case you haven't done that, please do it now before we begin the session. Um, I would now like to invite the mentor for the day, Ishani. Ishani is a communication designer from NIFT and a Spark AI creator since a year. She is also among the top three winners of Reskill Spark AI in brand India Brand Challenge 2022. So Ishani would be taking you through today's workshop. Welcome, Ishani.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Right. So I'm handing over the virtual stage to you, Ishani.
Sure.
Yeah. So, would you begin with sharing the demo video first?
Sure. Okay.
So,
Uh,
yeah. So, Ishani would be sharing a demo video of what we are going to do today.
okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. I am Ashani, and thank you, Anamika ma'am, for the beautiful introduction. So, before we begin, everything has been already said about Spark here and why it is very important for the future. As we know that metaverse is a very important part of the future, which is exactly, I would say, a combination of AR, VR, MR, etc. And Spark AR is a very interesting tool for augmented reality, which will help you kickstart your AR journey. So let's just start. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible, and this is a very basic AR face filter which we are going to learn today. Okay. So this is something a very basic augmented AR face filter which I made. This is a galactic theme, you can say, something like that. So yeah. So let's just begin and start. Okay. Uh, so before starting, let me just tell you where you should go and download the Spark AR. So if you haven't already done it, all you need to do is just go and search for download Spark AR Studio, and you just download here, and you just need to install it in your system and you'll get it. Great. So for this workshop, basically you would need what you would need is one, obviously, Spark AR and any particular editing tool that you're comfortable with. Myself, I usually use Photoshop, but if you're comfortable with any other editing software such as Illustrator, Sketchbook, anything works. Okay. So let me just begin everything. So this is what Sparkyard Studio would look like when it is in your system. Just a second. Okay. So this is the pop-up that would appear when you click on Sparkyard. And as you can see, there are a lot of options here, and I'll take you through them. So there are some basic templates which will help you easily make any AR effect you want. There are a lot of different capabilities such as face tracking, body tracking, world AR, and we will go through all of that. Uh, then there are some tutorials here through which you can learn, and you can go through your recent projects. You can open any particular project which you had saved earlier. But for now, I'll just go to a blank project. So this is the screen that would appear. Okay. So before we begin, this is what Spark AR Studio looks like. This screen that you see is called the viewport, where you can see there's some sort of a 3D space, and I can just move around in the 3D space by left clicking on my mouse. Okay, so this is what we call the viewport. This little small screen that is here is called the simulator, in which you can actually see your own video. I've actually put my video on camera right now, so I can't show it that to myself, but this is where you can actually see the video. This is called the simulator. There are other options such as screen panel, where there you would be putting. We'll get through all of that. This is called the scene panel, where you will put elements in your scene. This is what we call the assets panel. There are different modes in Sparkyard. This is for 3D objects. You can go ahead and click here for 2D objects. We'll just go to 3D objects for now. Okay. This is what we call the inspector or the property panel. There are some options here such as scale, move, etc. We'll get through all of that slowly. Okay. So this is the menu bar over here, as you can see. And when I clicked this one, I clicked this first. You can see that this video is clicked here, and this is what comes to my simulator. So this is actually called the video option, and you are going to see that whatever video I put, there are pre-recorded videos here, and whatever video you put, click on this section, would appear in your simulator. So this feature is so that you can try your face effects on different people with different face complexion, different body types, different hair color, different face features, etc. So apart from the videos of different people, there's one option here where this is what we use for world AR. So that is actually what you would use for your back camera in your mobile. Okay. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and click on this because we are making a face filter, and I would need just a simple basic feminine face on my simulator. Okay. So I showed you that filter that I showed you earlier about the Galaxy face filter. So let's just begin with it. Okay. So for that, what you would need is, first of all, for making a face filter, we would need something called face reference assets, which you can just go ahead and download from here. Sparkyard face assets. Okay. So when you click here, you would get something known as face assets, on top of which you can make your filters, edit it on your editing softwares, and then you would import it in Sparkyard. So I already have my face reference assets here, so I'm not going to download it again. Okay. So to edit my face reference, I would just go ahead and click on Photoshop. You can use any other editing software you like, such as Illustrator, Sketchbook, InDesign, anything. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open my face reference assets. Yes. Okay. So you'll get options such as mesh and textures. I'm just going to go ahead and click on textures, and there would be options such as, you can see, face feminine, face masculine, face mesh, etc. So these are basically, you can say, masks on top of which you are going to create your own artwork and then import it in the Sparkyard. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the face feminine texture. All right. So So now I have this little mask on top of this, and on top of which I'm going to put my assets. So when I say assets, I mean basically the elements that you want to put in your face filter. As you must have seen, there are so many elements. People, like someone tries and puts maybe a tattoo on your left cheek, or maybe sort of a flower on your eye. So all of those things which we put in our face filters, not face filters exactly, in any augmented reality effect that we make, we call it assets. Okay, so I actually have some of my assets pre-built. I mean that they are basically just images in PNG format, that is without the background. So I will place them on top of this now. I'm just going to go ahead and yeah. So I have these assets here with me, and I'm just going to place them on top of this in whichever format I like, and then we'll see. Okay. So now I have this sort of galactic cloud here, and I'll just increase the size and maybe try and just put it around the eye, because so that it looks like kind of a eye mask. Okay. Okay. So now I have something on for the eyes, and I'm going to go ahead and put my other assets. Okay. I'm just going to distort it around the shape of her cheek so that it looks more real and natural. Okay. So I have basically just put all the assets on the face mask, and now I'm just going to hide the face mask so that we get this sort of a PNG screen, which we are going to import it in Sparkyard. So let's just save this, export this. Okay. Coming back to Sparkyard. So when you first actually open Sparkyard, it can be a bit uh, difficult to understand because there are so many options and so many features and everything. But gradually, you will get a hang of it. So as you can see in my viewport, I have some sort of a translucent screen in which this video is running. Okay. So this is what we call the camera. This triangular thing, what you see is what we call the camera, and this is the video is being played on the screen. This light here is called directional light, which actually throws light on the screen, which we'll get to that. Okay. So in the scene panel, as I said, we are going to be adding elements that are going to come and appear in our viewport. Okay. So as you see, there's a little small plus button. When I click it, there's a pop-up that appears, and there are a lot of options here. So there are options such as face tracker, plane tracker, target tracker, hand tracker. There are 3D objects, 2D objects, there is lights, effects, etc. So let's just go through one by one. Face tracker is something that obviously the name suggests it. It's face tracker. That means the elements that I'm going to put in my scene are going to track my face. Similarly, hand tracker is something that would track your hand. Target tracker and plane tracker are a bit different. So plane tracker would be that is what we usually use for world AR effects. Now, when I talk about world AR effects, that means that they are not only just limited to your face or hand, but they actually create a very immersive effect around in your surrounding. So, uh, target tracker is something again that would the effect or the AR effect that we are making would trigger when it reaches the target. So we'll get to that slowly. But for now, what we need to understand is what a face tracker is. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert. Okay. So there are other objects as well, such as plane and null object, 3D object, a face mesh, etc., etc. And we'll get to that slowly. So for now, let's just focus on face tracker. So you just select the face tracker and it's selected default here, and you just click on insert. Okay. So when you select, when I just added the face tracker here in the same panel, you can see there are these three little gray arrows you can see that denotes to X, Y, and Z axis, and it moves along the model's face. So that means it's actually tracking the model's face, and that means whatever elements you're going to put in the model in the same panel, it is going to run along her facial movements. Okay. So now what we need to do is, when we have added the face tracker, we actually need something that is called a face mesh, so that we can put our elements that we had made on top of a mask in Photoshop. We can import it on top of a face mesh. So I'm just going to, okay, so I just clicked on face tracker and I would left click it, and then I would get an option panel which says add object, rename, delete, etc., etc. And when I just like hover on add object, these many options that were appearing when I clicked on this plus button would appear. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and add a face mesh. Face mesh was something that was available here under the 3D object section where there was plane, null object, face mesh, 3D text, etc. So we just go ahead and add object and we add a face mesh. So now you can see when I added a face mesh, so there is sort of a checkered face mask sort of thing has appeared on the model's face that actually runs along the movement of her face. That is what we call a face mesh, and this is a sort of a mask on top of which you can put any sort of elements you want, and it would do the masking effect. Okay. So yeah, so we're kind of done with the scene panel, whatever things we wanted here. Now we'll come and focus on the assets panel. Now, if you remember, I had said that assets are something which is that they are basically elements which we add to our scene, to our the AR effect, so that it creates a impact. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the little plus button here. Now you can see there are options such as import from computer and search from asset library. So I'll tell you what is the asset library. So if I just go and click plus sign here. Now there are other options where you can just import from your computer, which we are going to do. There's something called an asset library. There's something called animation sequence, blocks, materials, playback controller, scripts, etc. We'll get to each one of that. But something very interesting that Spark AR has is the asset library. So I just went ahead and clicked the asset library, and you can see there's a screen that appeared with a lot of options. So this is an inbuilt library through which you can just import assets and you can use it in your AR effects. So I'll just go ahead and show you some assets. So for example, 3D objects. If I want to import any particular 3D object, and if I feel like I need some 3D objects in my AR effect, I can just go ahead, click on this one. There's an option known as import free. If I just click on this, and it would the asset would go and get stored in the asset library. Similarly, there you can import musics and sounds. You can import something known as called patch assets. Which we will get to that later. Similarly, textures, blocks, scripts, and color LUTs. We will all of these we'll get to that later. But for now, let's just know that there's something known as an AR library, which helps you gather a lot of beautiful assets for free. Okay. So our asset is already actually saved from in our computer. So I'm just going to import it from my computer. And so I had this asset ready there, and I will just go ahead and click on open. Okay. So as you can see, when I open, it won't just automatically come and appear on the face mesh because it is stored in the asset panel. Now you can see there is sort of a small concentric circle that is next to the face, next to our asset. So this is what we call compression. And if you just click on this, you will see that there's some compression going on. What we usually do is that we just click on none because we don't want the quality of our asset to reduce, because in some cases if we want to reduce the compression we can, but for this I don't want my effects resolution to decrease, so I'm just going to click ahead on none. Okay, so there's sort of a small preview that how our asset would look. So yeah, this is that. And okay, so we have our texture here and we have our face mesh here. So how do we put this into this? What you can do is you can just go ahead and simply drag and manipulate it from here, but we will go with the normal basic process. We'll just click on face mesh, and you can see in the inspector, the property panel, there are a lot of options here. There is properties, there is visibility, there is tracked face, eyes, mouth, transformation, tags, materials, etc. So let's go through this one by one. So for the properties, we have something called a layer option. Layer is, if you are aware of editing software such as Photoshop or Illustrator, you know that a lot of work is done in layers so that nothing overlaps, and so that once when we are editing or manipulating one particular object, the others don't get disturbed. So the purpose of this layer is also very similar. You can create new layers and everything. We don't want layers here, so we'll just let it go. There is visibility, and if I just uncheck it, the face mask just goes away. But the face tracker and the face mesh are there here, but the visibility just went off. So I'm just going to click and it's back. So tracked face, you can actually click on options, that how many faces do you want it to track, and here we have only one face option, so just face one. There are options for eyes and mouth. So if you I'll just increase it. If I just uncheck it, you will see that the mask, in the mask, the eye section has been covered. That means it's not going to track your eyes, and it's just going to cover it. Similarly for mouth, if I just like uncheck it, you'll see it's just a big flat thing that is on her face, but it's not tracking her face or mouth. So we don't want that. So we are going to click on the eyes and mouth. For transformations, there is some options called position, scale, rotation, etc. Position, scale, and rotation, as the name suggests, it's very easy. You can just click on the mask and you can just like change. Change the position. If I just want, if it's 0, if I just write it 4, you will see that the mask has gone 4 steps in the x-axis. Similarly for z and y, it's the very same. So it's kind of it fits right on top. It fits perfectly on her face. So I don't want the position to be changed. Neither do I want the scale to be changed. If I just change the scale, let's say x, and let's just click the y, and if I just make it 2, you'll see that the mask, the size has just increased a lot, which is not what we want. So just go ahead and click on one itself. And the rotation, same, it's 000. If I just go ahead and click, type here 90, and you see the mask, it just changed how with the alignment of her face. So we don't want that. I'm just going to type 0 here. Yeah. Similarly, there are other options such as enable for front camera, back camera, user, capture participants. So this option is when, for what purpose you are making the effect. Are you making it for the front camera? Are you making it for the back camera? Are you making it for the user or somebody else, etc. So similarly, there are tags. And so what we want here is to add a material. So after the asset has been added in the asset section, we are going to go to face mesh, and then what we want is this texture. We are going to call it as a material, and we will put it on the face mask. So there's this option called material, and there's a small little plus sign next to it, and we will just click on that. So when I clicked on it, you can see there's a little option that appeared here and a drop down, and it says material 0. And earlier it was a checkered face mask sort of thing, but now it's like a flat grayish mask, you can say. So this is the default material that Sparkyard provides for any material when you click on it. So what you do is, I don't want this particular face mask, but I want my texture to appear on this face mesh. So we will go to material 0 where it's written, and we will double click on it, and it would take us to another property panel where there are different other properties. So let's get through this one by one. So first and the most important thing in this material panel is the shader type. Okay, so also we should rename the material because it's a good habit. Uh, yeah, so it's a good habit to actually rename your material. Um, okay, it says material galaxy. Okay, probably there is a glitch and I'm not able to change the material name, but you can just double click on this section and change your material's name. Okay, so no issues. We'll just get to this property panel and the options. So there's something called shader type, and there's a little drop down you can see, and there are options such as flat, physically based, face paint, etc., etc. And let's just check on this one by one. So here there's a little tick mark next to standard, which says that standard is basically the default material that Sparkyard provides. Let's just go ahead and click on flat and see what happens. So as the name suggests, flat, it just made the whole face mask flat white. That means it does not let any light affect the face mask. For physically based, it is something very relatable to, you can say, standard, and it actually lets the light in your surroundings affect your face mask, which is exactly the opposite of flat. There's something called face paint, which is sort of a translucent face mask that appears now. Similarly, retouching. Retouching is when we want to smoothen the skin, and there is options for here such as full screen skin smoothing. And I'm just going to go and increase it, and you can see her skin has become a little smooth, more very shiny than earlier. So anyway, we don't want this. What we want is just normal standard. These are just some options. Similarly, there are options such as shader properties in which you can just, okay, so I think the face and the eyes have been unchecked. I'm just going to check on this again, and I will double click on the material panel again. So there are some options here such as color, texture, etc. Let's just go ahead and see what happens when you change the color. So if I just change the color, obviously the mask's color also changed, but we don't want this thing to appear. So I'm just going to cancel this anyway. There is option for render properties, opacity. So now something very important here is this opacity option under render properties, in which you can just like make this transparent and then bring it back, which can be used in which would be used for further for making different effects anyway. So now what we want to do, before without any further ado, let's just put our asset in our face mesh. And for this we need to go ahead and click on, there's this option called texture, and there's an option called choose file, and I'm just going to click on the drop down, and you can see that my texture, which was here, face feminine galaxy, has already appears in the drop down, and I'm just going to click on this, and it appears on her screen now. So you can see how my texture just blends with her skin, and easily it just shows, and it just follows the movement of the woman's face. And if I go ahead and change my shader type to flat, let's see what happens. Okay, so when I click on flat, you can see that the shadow or the light feature that was appearing earlier in her face does not appear now. And if I go and click on face paint, it just makes it a little bit more transparent and more immersive. So I think I kind of like how this face paint shader type looks on my effect. So I'm going to let it keep this to face paint. Okay. So now we have our effect ready. You can go ahead and try it on different models with different face complexion, different hair features, skin features, etc. And yeah, I think I like how it turned out. So I'm just going to keep it. Okay. So now comes the part when we will have to export our little face filter. So we have our assets, our scene and everything ready. Now what we need to do is we want to try it on our mobile phones, obviously. So what we do is there are, as I said, this is what we call the menu and the toolbar, and there is an option called test on device, this little small icon. And what you can do is you just click on here, and this pop-up appears, and you need to first add your experience. Adding experience means that your filter, the effect which you made, what are its capabilities, and how uh, in which format is it okay to use it. Is it cool for video calling? Is it used for front camera, back camera, Instagram, Facebook, etc. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the experience for it, and I'll click on done. So when I click on done, there is an option called, the option appears for sharing experience, which is Instagram, Facebook, Sparkyard, mobile, etc. I'm just going to go ahead and send it to my Instagram, and I will show you. Basically, if you send it to Instagram, there a pop-up like a notification would appear in your Instagram notification section, and it would say that AR effect was exported, and it would allow you the option to try it. Okay, so it has sent it to my Instagram. So what if I want to share it with my friends, and I would just want to try the test link? So there is a test link here, and you can just copy the test link and send it to others. Okay, so what we need to do is, I already actually have a filter made with this, and I feel like I am pretty happy how the filter turned out. So after testing and sharing and trying it on Instagram, etc., I will publish this effect. That means I will finally put the effect on my Instagram, and I will allow others and everybody to use it. So for that, there is an option called publish next, right next to test on device, and you just click on it, and you will get options that what you want to do. Do you want to publish a new effect, update an existing effect? And it will show you what are your file sizes, and it's always very important to check your file sizes. So Sparkyard has a rule that you cannot publish anything that is more than 4 MB. So you have to, whatever effect, be it face tracking, world layer, body tracking, whatever effect you're making, it should be less than 4 MB. So here it says that my file sizes meet requirements because this is a very basic filter. And so it's of a very small size, so it's fine. So I'm just going to click on upload, and it will lead me to a page called Spark AR Hub. Okay. So now this is appear. We have a tab called Sparkyard Hub, and what you need to do is you have to just fill in the specifications for your effect. You need to give a unique name to your effect. Maybe for this, I'll just give uh, Galaxy, maybe Galactic Galactic Eyes. I don't know. Galactic Eyes sounds fine to me. And there is option called which platforms do you want. Do you want any specific platforms to publish, etc.? And there's an option called allow people on Instagram to use your effect in photos and videos they've already taken. So if you just uncheck this, then the photos or videos that have already been taken will not be able to use your effect. So I don't have a problem with this. I'm just going to click on this, and it would show that which Instagram account you want. So I only have this one particular account, so it would appear here. This is actually for your Facebook account, and the publisher, the effect would appear on your Instagram account, and you can just edit and add any other Instagram account you want. You need to set categories such as what exactly is this AR effect about. So I'm just going to click on selfies, um, love, sci-fi and fantasy, and camera styles, I guess. Okay. You need to add some keywords so that people, when they actually search for the effect, what words they are supposed to write for your filter to appear. So you can just, write any relatable words, just galaxy, Milky Way, planets, aliens, etc. Anything that comes to your mind that is related to your AR effect. And you can add up to, let's say, 20 keywords. That's fine. So what you need to do is for the demo video is something that if you remember, we had a small test link that we were supposed to try out, and a notification that was sent to Instagram. So the specification or the need of this particular feature is that when you are trying on the test link, you need to make a demo video of about 13 to 14 seconds. It should be less than 15 seconds, and you need to upload that video so that people know that what is the video about. So I actually have a small um, video with this, and I will, yeah, so I just have a small demo video of this, and I will open it. Okay, so you can just the video has been uploaded here, and you can use your thumbnail, what thumbnail you want. So you can either import your own thumbnail, or you can just like choose one from any scene from here. So this is my thumbnail, and I'm just going to crop it a little bit, so that it appears only on my face. And if you have worked with any collaborators, you can add the collaborators name, etc. The publication date, you need to, there's an option for, you can set a time and date, so that, I mean, when a particular time and date when you want it to publish, or do you want to publish as soon as possible, etc. So I just want to publish it as soon as possible, and I'm going to click on submit. So it's not exactly going to upload your effect within the same minute. Sparkyard takes about, it can range up to from 5 hours to maybe 5 days to review your effect, and it would check that it matches the policies of Sparkyard, and if the everything, the effect that you've made, it matches and it goes with the policies, then they would upload it very quickly. Okay. So when you have, yeah, it says that your effect is now in review. They will review the effect, and you've submitted your effect successfully. It is usually reviewed within a few hours, but could take up to 5 days. Cool. Okay. So this is that effect, and it would just show a mock-up of how it's going to look on your Instagram. So this is Spark AR Hub, and you can go ahead and check on your insights. And I mean, these are my insights, but because I have made so many effects, you can, I have a bit more insights and everything. So as you start and then go on making effects, you can come and check how your effects are growing, what is the audience and everything, etc. So okay, yeah. So as soon as it gets published, you will have your first Spark AR effect in your hand. Okay. So yeah, I mean, try and um, try and let me know how the effect was, uh, how did it, what was your experience, etc. And I hope you had a good time. So okay, I'm just going to, okay. Okay, so I think I might have missed a point that is something quite important, and I will just, okay, I'm not able to, okay, okay, so, why can't I, okay, yeah. So one very important thing in your Spark ER is that, let's say I have this effect. So when you open it, there's some option called share update, and there's a little small option here. That is something very very important. So when you are trying to publish this or send it to a client or maybe anybody, there's something called effect ID, owner ID, which is very important, and you can just copy it from here, because most people don't get it, that where should they copy and get the effect ID from. So this is something very important you should know, and this is the link. You can send it to people to try on, and you can also click on the share button and copy it and share it. So I guess, yeah, so I think this is it with, yeah. Okay.
Hi everyone. In case you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the comment section. We would be happy to take the questions here. I don't see any questions coming in. So thank you so much for today. We'll get back tomorrow with the second phase of same workshop. In the meantime, we would request you to practice what Ishani has told you, and we'll take it forward from there tomorrow. Thanks a ton. Thank you. Thank you, Ishani. Um,
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah. And also, please join the Facebook group. We have shared the link in the chat. Please join this link, the Facebook group, where you would get more ideas about how people in across the domain are working on AI technologies, what kind of effects are being produced. In case you have any questions, you can also post it there. Yeah, and tomorrow we'll start from where Ishani has left, and yeah. So also, we have shared in the link the submission form. This would be the form that you would be using to submit your AR effects. Thank you so much. Thank you.